Never overeducate a prospect. Never do it, right? It's Joseph Michael here, and what I'm about to share with you is something that actually costs myself and my partner, right, over 500,000 naira in exactly October of 2024, right? So, a little backstory, right? So, we had this prospect reach out to us, amazing lady. She had a consultation firm, where she wanted to start, teaching, people stuff and all of that. And her idea was amazing, right? Now, she needed someone who was going to help her, like, promote the stuff, of course, advertisement and all of that, right? Paid advertisements is part of what we do, right? And she reached out, right? Now, when she reached out, we first did a discovery call, right? In discovery call, we found out where she was, basically everything that, basic information, and just get to understand where she currently is, what her goals are, what her desires are, and all of that, right? And we had the second call, which was more of a strategy call. And the strategy call, we started like going deeper, and aside going deeper, we started like towards the end, we showed her our framework in actually helping her to achieve her goal. Now, by the time we were done, we now began to realize that there was so much, like, as a matter of fact, she actually underrated the kind of work that was involved, right, in getting to sell to her audience, right, at the price that she wants to sell to them, right, which was quite interesting. So aside that, we also found out that there were certain things that were necessary informations, right, in between that she was not prepared for. For example, you want to sell to people, right? You need to understand how to hold webinars. There's a structure around webinars, right? Coming from someone who, like, through webinars, I've sold to over 600 people. Using webinars alone, I've sold to over 600 people, right? I understood that for the product that she wanted to sell, she needed a webinar, right? Not just any webinar. She should understand how to structure a webinar. So we started educating her about, webinars and whatnot, basically webinar frameworks and all of that, right? And aside that, there were other things that she had overlooked, other things that she had overlooked, that were very pivotal. Right, they were very pivotal to the launch of her program, and then we started educating her on that call. We started telling her now. All of that sounded interesting. That call lasted for about 2 hours. Normally, my discovery calls do not exceed 30 minutes, at most 35 minutes. All of my recorded calls, you see them 35 minutes and close sales, right? Of course, the 2-call close, right? Now, this call actually went on for 2 hours. We spoke, and she saw that the people she was speaking with were people who actually understand how this thing is done. I understood the thing. I had that experience, and I could help her get the results. But guess what? She chinned out, right? Now, why did she chicken out? And some few weeks later, after the call, literally, she said she was going to get back to us. She ghosted. For some reason, I knew something was not right, but I was trying to figure out what exactly was not right. But just a few hours later, while thinking about the call, I got this aha moment, right? I told my partner and I said, I think we overeducated this lady on the call. Now, guess what? To confirm my suspicions, she sent a message after she had ghosted for, I think, almost 2 weeks after the call. After she had ghosted, she sent the message. She'd be like, she has a couple of things that she has to handle, and she feels that she has to put this in place, she has to put that in place, she has to put that in place. And because we even went as far as recommending books for her to read. And I'm like, yo, you see what I told you, right? We actually over-educated this lady. And guess what? When you over-educate prospects, right, especially on a sales call, when you over-educate them, right, what you are doing unconsciously is that you are overwhelming them with information. And when they feel overwhelmed with the process, with that information about the process of what it takes, guess what happens? They begin to chicken out. They will automatically, they will chicken out because they're like, okay, so this was my assumed work. This was what I assumed it was going to take for me to be able to achieve this goal, right? And now this expert, this person who has walked the walk, is coming to tell me that I need to understand this and this for me to be able to to achieve this goal. Just like saying, okay, for example, for you to win a prize, you think that for you to win 1 million naira, you needed to just make 5 sales calls, just close 5 deals, and then someone is coming to you and telling you, before even getting on those calls to close those leads, you need to understand how to generate leads, right? You need to understand how to hold webinars. You need to understand how to set up application forms, right? You need to understand, all this variety of things, right? That Of course, you can outsource some, right? But aside outsourcing, there are certain things that you as a founder need to know for yourself, and you're not guarded, you're not armed with that knowledge. So she felt overwhelmed, right? So what's the lesson there basically, right? As a salesperson, as someone who sells, you have no business over-educating the prospect, right? You have no business doing that. Over-educating the prospect does not, to you it might show, oh, you're intelligent, you have knowledge and all of that, but to the prospect, you're communicating backloads and shitloads of process that they just not might be ready for. And guess what? This process many times are things that you can actually get done for them, right? But because you've listed these things out, they feel overwhelmed, they feel that it is too much for them to handle. So what should you be doing instead? I'm going to tell you. Now, on those sales calls, what you should actually be doing basically is to find out what the goals of your prospects are, find out their desires, find out what's stopping them from taking action, find out the things that they've tried in the past, right? And then use that information, right, to create a customized framework that is going to work for them. Now, what your framework should actually do is to show them how you can actually initially get them to their desired goal without them having to worry about the thing that they fear the most, right? And without having to spend so much time doing so, right? That's basically what this thing should be about. That is basically what it should be about. Do not fall into the temptation of having to over-educate them, all of that. You're just going to overwhelm them. And many times, one of the easiest ways to do this, right, is using what we call the sales framework, right? Now, different kinds of framework. There are different kinds of framework that I actually use when I am on those sales calls. But there's one that I found that actually, it is literally crazy. And every time I use this framework, one thing I have found consistent that comes from the mouth of the prospect is it's too good to be true. It just sounds so spotless many times. And guess what? They opt in and they pay, right? So do not fall into the temptation of over-educating your prospects. Do not fall into that temptation. The things that should be disclosed to them should be disclosed to them. But just help them understand that the problem that they have can be solved through your vehicle, right? Through your unique vehicle, which is your framework. And then that process, right, is something that's not going to be overwhelming for them. Basically, that's what your goal should be on those calls, among many things, right? But this is actually very important. Because I want to keep this video brief, right? I might not be able to go into the other details of the things that are important, but have this in mind. Moral lesson: never over-educate a prospect on the call. Because when you do, you're not sharing intelligence, you're not showing that you're very smart. Of course, it might come off to you like you're showing that you're very smart, but to them, you are overwhelming them with process. And a prospect who feels overwhelmed would never buy from you. Now, if you found this video valuable and you want to get more sales tips, not just sales tips, personal development, all things, all things that have to do with your personal development, growth, and all of that, right? Then click on the link around the video, subscribe. If you're watching from LinkedIn, follow Joseph Michael. He is J Michael, right? That's the handle across all social media. HEISJMICHEEL, right? And I'll see you in the next video.